everybody, and welcome to the Resilience and Brilliance Single Women Summit. I'm your host, Emily Kobeck. We get to talk today about when life doesn't work out the way we want it to, and sometimes really shitty things happen. Um, we don't need to pathologize ourselves. We don't need to shame ourselves or make ourselves wrong for the feelings of disappointment and anger and hurt that we have. So, what do we do with those feelings? What do you do with those stories that, sound like everybody this or all men are that or life is this way and it's depleting to you? What do you do with your grief? What do you do with your anger? Um, my next guest is here to talk about that. She's here to talk about sacred rage and how to cultivate your inner knowing. She is an internationally acclaimed sexual empowerment change agent. She's an author. She guides her clients to fully realize their unique, holistic, and erotic path. As a relationship coach, a sexologist, and an anger specialist, a combination. She combines her extensive education with deep empathy derived from her own personal experience. She is walking the walk. Personally overcoming incest, rape, violence, and abuse, she has not survived, but thrives. Veronica is committed to helping others own their personal empowerment and realize the freedom that joy is their birthright. Welcome, Veronica Monet. Hi, Veronica. Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here, Emily.
Oh, good, good, good. I feel it. So, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself, like your hero's journey?
Oh, my hero's journey. Well, let's see. I grew up in a very low income neighborhood. My father was a welder. Mom was very religious. She belonged to a Christian cult. It was a doomsday cult, and that's how I got my beginnings with this
Mm.
very religious upbringing. It was strict, and it was also abusive. So my father was abusive to my mother, and he was also abusive to my sister and I. And after I left there, I went straight into college. I was an honor student, got a degree in psychology, and I had a problem with drugs and alcohol because it was the abusive past. And I ended up getting clean and sober at the age of 25. And this set me on a whole spiritual path of eventually really stepping into service, being of service to other people. But first, I had to work on my own healing journey. So I healed, and I would say it's an ongoing thing because some of the type of trauma that I was subjected to takes a long time to heal. So and I kind of wonder if that isn't true for all of us, that we have trauma that we get to revisit and keep unpacking and keep healing from. But anyway, I achieved enough healing that my life really started to be functional. I started to be a very happy, healthy person. And I really wanted to share that with other people. So I became a relationship coach.
A relationship coach, a relationship coach, and also a sexologist.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a unique relationship coach because I focus on two areas that are really problematic and taboo. That's why I call everything I do the shame-free zone. And I focus on anger management and sex. Two things that are very, very troublesome for most couples and for a lot of individuals as well.
Can you tell us about more about that, like the anger management and sex and what that looks like, so
Yeah,
women can identify that might be me.
absolutely. I find that sometimes people think, oh, anger and sex. Yeah, when I get angry at my partner, then we have makeup sex and it's really hot. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about helping people learn different patterns when they get angry. We all get angry.
Mm.
This, anger is actually a beautiful emotion if you know how to live with it, how to work with it, how to navigate it. You don't want it being in charge of you. So getting in touch with your anger, a lot of times when I'm working with women, I'm actually trying to help them get angry because the opposite of anger oftentimes is depression, low self-esteem, picking on yourself, maybe low body image. This is some of the typical ways that women will handle their anger. They turn it inside on themselves and start attacking themselves. So I actually want to help women get in touch with their anger and then learn how to use that like a powerful wind that's going to drive your cell. But you don't want it just ripping your cell apart. If you don't know how to use that, that force is very powerful. And I think a lot of us are afraid. I think women especially are afraid to get in touch with their anger. And we have a lot of reason to be angry. And it's okay. It's okay. That rage is sacred and you can use it to fuel a lot of powerful, beautiful things. So I also teach something called the exquisite partnership formula, and that's a firm no. I want women to have a firm no that's on their terms. And I think when you just study things like assertion skills and healthy boundaries, it doesn't really give you a roadmap to how to create intimacy. And female culture is mostly about creating intimacy and connection. Even with people that we may not like all that much, there's still this effort to connect. And so I developed something called the exquisite partnership formula, which is 5 steps to a very solid no that pulls people close to you, opens their hearts, and creates more intimacy. So,
Wow. And more
yeah.
about the anger. More about the anger. How do you navigate? I love the conversation. The anger is beautiful and it's a power. And if we can be with it and just change the pattern of it. I love
So
that. Can you say more to that?
yes, so there's specific steps, and the very first one. I'm sorry, it sounds so cliche. You probably heard it a million times, but take a breath. So so let's say first of all that you let's just back up a little bit from that. If you know that you're angry, and I'm going to give you some of the steps to deal with that. But let's just say first of all that you've got a pattern that is pretty common among women, which is that I don't think I'm angry. Um, I'm depressed. I don't feel good about myself. Those sort of things. Like use that in an investigative way. Like, okay, why am I feeling bad about me? Is there some way in which I acquiesced and didn't speak up when I needed to speak up? Is there some way in which I'm allowing people to run over me? And so just do that. Like even get out a piece of paper and just kind of inventory it. Like, okay, I hear that I'm feeling fat today. Can we go look at maybe some things I'm pissed off about and write it out? I'm sure there's going to be something on that list. And watch yourself if you start like saying but they meant well, but it wasn't that bad, but it's not worth a fight. Those are cues that you're suppressing it. Once you get in touch with it, you're going to probably feel like you've got a powder keg in your hands. Like, oh no, I am full of rage. What do I do with that? And it's okay. What you want to do is first take a breath, really get in touch with what you're feeling in your body because anger management is so much about embodiment. We're going to get in touch with our body and want to have lots of compassion for how you're feeling. So maybe you, let's say you're really angry at an ex. Maybe he's taking you to court over a child custody or alimony. Who knows? Um, that that can be very unnerving. You can feel a lot of rage around that. You want to channel that rage in a productive avenue. So um, if you understand the stories that are behind those feelings, you'll get more clarity. So if I have a story that I always lose, or this always happens to me, or this person never listens to reason, pretty much if you're going to say words like never and always, you're starting to go down a story that you have about outcomes. And we want to open up to other possibilities that might be more positive. The only way we can do that is if we can see those stories and just kind of like ask them to step aside for a little bit. Maybe they're right, but they
Mm.
might not be this time.
So in this, to interrupt just a moment, so in the idea, the example of the ex who's taking you to court, and you get in touch. You feel the anger, you take a breath and embody it, and then you have to hear the story like, this guy is always an a-hole to me, or he never respects me, or he's
Right.
like those stories. That's what you're meaning
That's
specific.
what I mean by stories, and
Yeah,
they usually are self-sabotaging because they say things like always and never. And
right.
it doesn't make room for you to create your brave, empowered future. It doesn't
Mm,
allow you to step into your personal power. Because you're if you just live in the rage and don't use it as a powerful wind for your sail, then you're just sitting there angry and fuming. And you got two choices at that point, to be self-destructive or destructive other people. And neither one of those is a good outcome.
mm,
So you want to get in touch with it, because I like to think of rage as an alarm system. It's letting you know that there's a fire. Okay. But you don't just sit there and let it go off and off and off and off. You try to go find the fire, put out the fire, right? So it's a similar thing. Our anger is an alarm, but we don't live in the anger. We respond to the alarm by fixing the thing that's causing it. And
mm,
that's where the healthy boundaries and assertion skills come in.
mm,
So if I have realized that I am feeling bad about myself, I've traced it to something that I'm actually angry about. I realize that this body is experiencing a lot of turmoil and I didn't even know it. And then I'm tapping into what's going on in my brain, which is probably a bunch of stories about what this situation that makes me angry, what its limitations are, and what it means to me personally. For instance, maybe he's being bad to me because I'm a bad person or a bad mother, or those sort of things. Also, is like taking on the blame. We don't want to go that way, or saying that this person's absolutely evil and we're never going to be able to surmount this situation either. You see, we're looking for balance. We're looking for that middle ground that asks us to remain calm and optimistic while being fiercely powerful. It's not an easy ask, but it's really important if you want to make strides forward in your life.
yeah,
But,
yeah. And I can hear that too with women who've been betrayed. Cheating on is such a common thing. All men are this. All
yeah.
men do like that. That's another whole story that can be super depressing. Like there's no hope inside if that's what we're
Oh,
looking at.
yes, it's so true. And here's the thing, I like to think of relationships as, um, I don't know, work workshops, webinars. Self, it's an opportunity for me to learn about me and how I'm interacting with my world.
Mhm.
Um, and if I'm pulling in, so for instance, let's go back to that hero's journey, right? How did I get here? Well, I had to pick some very dysfunctional, abusive relationships. Of course I did, because that's what I was born into, a lot of dysfunction and abuse. So and as I am going through this whole journey of sobriety and therapy and self-improvement, and I'm still pulling in the proverbial frogs, I have to ask myself, well, what more can I do to start changing what's happening inside me? Because if my focus was out there, that all men are whatever, I would never have gotten where I'm at now. And there's always a little modicum of truth to our stories. Like maybe somebody did mean us ill, or maybe that person is never actually going to get it. Um, and and maybe a lot of men are really messed up. It's okay to acknowledge that. Don't get stuck in that as your future, your reality, because you do have the power to create a different reality, to pull in different types of people. And you also have the power to interact with people in a different way so that your reality changes, whether they do or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just breathing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just and hearing you like going through your process. You're in therapy, you're doing your work, and you're still pulling in the frogs. And then you have to ask, what else, and there's rage in that of like, what else, I'm doing all the things, like, what
Yeah.
did you what did you find in there? What else
I
was there?
Well, one of the things that I found, it's like pulling away the layers. Like in my case, I have to work through domestic violence recovery, get to the other side of that, work on my anger management, work on my healthy boundaries, and still, um, I'm finding that I'm not happy with what is coming to me. So then the next layer for me was to work codependent patterns, which no offense to my mother, but there was a lot of that coming from her. Um, and I actually stopped dating for like a year and just focused on my own healing. I got into tribe with other women who were also on a healing journey, and we worked around some of our codependent dynamics. And I just found that that reset, like really focusing on self care, really focusing on me, and letting myself blossom and become more who I wanted to be. When I did start dating again after that 1 year, I pulled in a totally different type of man. Now, I'm not saying that those men were perfect. I am not with them today, but it was kind of like the next step. Like I felt like I graduated from whatever I was pulling in before, and now I was pulling in something else. And I got to refine my radar, if you will, around those types of men. So I was now pulling in men that fulfilled what I thought would be my next best relationship. They were more service oriented, more spiritually oriented. They were doing great things in the world, and I had an opportunity to admire them. I really, really wanted to have that experience, and I created that for myself. And then I got to realize that even men that were that evolved and that accomplished still had issues, and to fine tune my radar around that. But I want us to be careful that we don't get into just pulling in the right man. Because, Emily, I do believe that we're all on a spiritual journey, and there are certain lessons that are going to come to us because they need to. And so you find not the perfect man or the perfect partner. Um, you find the person who's perfect for where you're at right now, the one that's going to help you become your best self, the one that's going to help you take your own growth and your own development further than you have yet. And that means we go back to partnership. This is not the bachelorette where I'm going to select the winner. I mean, there's elements of that in there perhaps, and it's okay to maybe hold that as a goal, but mostly getting what you want out of a relationship is really becoming the person that you want to be.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Oh, what do we do with our power? Something you said a little bit ago was use the power for our sales, like to, well, how do
Yes.
you channel or how do you channel this anger into power, into action?
Self-care is the first thing that comes to mind for me. It's so crucial to have a daily practice, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's meditation or yoga or some combination of that. Quiet time to really check in with yourself, to be centered in yourself. This is where I do some of my best thinking. I mean, this morning I was on the mat, and all of a sudden I got a brainstorm for the second book that I'm working on. And I'm really excited about it. Those kind of downloads come when you create space and quiet.
Mm.
Being in nature, walking my dog, going on extended hikes, all those things really feed me, help me have my feet on the ground and be connected, and have all my chakras open. So that is, let me back up and just say we've contacted the part of us that's angry or full of sacred rage. It's a powerful force, we want it to not tear that cell apart. We want it to uh, to take us where we're going to go. You can't know where you're going if you aren't actually centered and grounded in yourself. So that becomes the direction that you're going to point that sail to help power you. So it's like a weaving. We've got to have the quiet time, the soulful time. But if that's all you do, then you're in risk of spiritual bypass and nothing happens. You could just meditate there and om for the rest of your life and feel all blissed out, but it's not really changing your life.
Right. Let's talk about inner knowing and how to cultivate your inner knowing. Um, I wanted to just hear all of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Emily.
Yeah.
Look,
Like,
I'm a believer in asking me about that, and I want to say it's so important that we do not look at ourselves as victims.
mm,
So I'm a survivor of incest, rape, domestic violence. I don't I don't shirk from, identifying in that way. I'm not saying everybody else should, even if those things have happened in your life. For me, I gain a lot of power from that of knowing, wow, look at the things that I've overcome. So my focus is on that instead of, oh, this terrible thing happened to me. I'm just like, I'm powerful. I'm
mm,
amazing. And being able to inhabit that place can really power your cells. I believe in prayer, and there's scientific data that says prayer works. Doesn't I don't believe in what prayer is. I don't actually believe a lot of things. I believe in things that produce results. So if prayer and meditation produce results, then I want to do them.
mm,
I don't have to have a dogma attached to that. It's just something that works. So I do actually bring prayer and meditation into my daily practice so that my channels are open to my inner guidance. And the way I hold it is that I'm also open to divine guidance. You don't have to do that. I know I take people through a 12-step program who don't even believe that there is such a thing as the divine. You could still use these tools to enhance your life. And some people believe that that is actually how you tap into your inner knowing. I kind of sense two different voices. There's my inner knowing and the divine guidance, but it doesn't matter how you hold that. What matters is you open those channels up because you are so much more wise than you actually know. And that's really part of the discovering the beauty of you, of who you actually are. And if you understand that, if you really connect to that, you are always going to want to find ways to bring your wisdom to the world, to not just change your life, but to change the lives of others too. And that might just be your own circle of friends, might be your children, it might be your partner, or it might be your family. It could also be the world. That's entirely up to you.
mm. Yes. And how does sexuality relate? How does it tie into our inner knowing?
Emily, I'm really glad that you asked that. I have an exercise. I hope it's okay. Is it possible for me to give your viewers an exercise that involves a little bit of self pleasuring? Would that be all right?
Would be, I think, okay. Yes. I think we want to go.
I'm not going to get descriptive here.
Mm,
Um, I want to invite the women that are watching to think of their inner knowing as also being uh, involved with their um, genitalia. That if this is all you ever do, you just do this heart chakra thing, you're missing some of your inner knowing, some of your inner wisdom. And this is where your sexuality can connect you. And if you just take your dominant hand, I happen to be right-handed, so I take my right hand and I just cup my genitals
Ooh.
and breathe. And I usually ask, cup your genitals and breathe for like 10 minutes if you can. That's actually, you'll find it's a little more challenging than you might think.
With clothes on or off?
Doesn't matter. It's nice if you're in bed and you're able to do it under your clothes
Mm,
or without clothes. That's best.
mm.
Um, but the main thing is that we're connecting the energy source in this part of the hand to the root chakra, which is located in your genitals. This is grounding your whole body. And as you're breathing into it, you're asking, what do you want to tell me? What do you want me to know? And I want to warn women because a lot of us have had a Me Too moment. We found that out when Me Too took the world by storm. Um, and some of us have been sexually assaulted. But wherever you are on that continuum, whether you've actually suffered sexual assault or you've had a Me Too moment, there's still kind of a trauma inside your body for most of us. I would go so far as to say probably all of us, but I'll leave that up to you. I don't want to define your reality for you. But just about being in a female body, what that means about how your sexuality might have been stolen or co opted or defined or limited or shamed. All these things affect most of us. And when you connect to that part of your body in a soulful, heartful, maybe even prayerful way, where you're asking questions, what do you want me to know? What do you want to tell me? It may be that she's really angry. It may be that she's profoundly sad. Let her talk to you. She will. She'll tell you what she needs you to know. And there's your seat of power. It's also where you're going to get so much insight into what's actually living inside you. Because that part of your body not only holds the Kundalini energy, which is where all creativity comes from, but that part of your body also holds some wounding. And it needs to be heard and loved and healed so that you are freed to be as big and as powerful as you really are.
That is awesome. I've never heard of that. Like that, we do inner child work, we do all kinds of listening, going back in regressions, but yoni, sacred yoni listening like that, that's
Yeah.
right on. Yes. I hope everyone watching this will do this tonight.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Oh,
Good. Yes. I did it last night. It is something that I do several times a week actually. And
yeah, I could
and
see
the
that.
more stressed out I am, the more confused I get. And I
Mhm.
find that this is a place where I get to come back to myself.
Oh my gosh. And just being with what you're getting. I mean, it's almost a little, not almost, it's intimidating because I'm thinking, oh, she's mad. No, no, I'm sure. I'm sure she's
Yes.
like,
Well,
what were
if
you
you've had
thinking?
Emily, if you've had a bad breakup, she's pretty pissed off right now.
Mm. Oh, I think, yeah, that's intense. Wow, that's a really beautiful exercise. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, pleasure.
That's deep healing right there. And if someone were to do that and commit to doing that, even if it's like you can't do that every night, it's like okay, but on I have something called self-care Sundays. And I just design it, whatever I wanted to do. And if it was just like one day a week where I started having this self-pleasuring connection, that's enough to start,
It
just
absolutely is, and Emily, that is the ask that I give my clients, and I actually give this exercise to people of all genders, but I do
mm,
ask once a week. It's like just 10 minutes once a week,
mm,
um, and it is profound. The things that they bring to me, the memories, the realizations, the clarity that they're getting about their lives. about their professions, about their marriages, about their family connections. It's amazing how much clarity you can get from this exercise.
Wow. I will love to hear the feedback from when the women try this. I'm
Yeah,
going to love to hear it. I want to keep talking for all the night, but we're going to wrap it up. And so I just want to give you, Veronica, an opportunity to have um, whatever last words you'd like to offer.
yeah,
Tell us about your gift. You already told us a little, I know, and then where we can find you.
absolutely. So, Emily, it's been a delight listening with you and your viewers. I'm really excited to be a part of this. Um, a final thought would be, don't shortchange yourself. Don't settle. There is some hard work ahead. It's worth every tear and every bead of sweat, because on the other side, you are going to have some new muscles in the way of relating to yourself, to life, and to relationship. Another thing that I want to invite you to is to download a free gift from my website. My website is called the Shame Free Zone, shamefreezone.com. And the gift that I'm offering is called the Exquisite Partnership Formula. Now, if you're not ready, and if you just had a breakup, I would recommend spend at least 6 months, if not a year. You don't have to do a year like I did, um, but at least 6 months, really going deep into yourself, working on you. But I still think that even if you're not ready to step back into partnership right now, this gift is amazing because it's going to start transforming the way that you relate to all people, other family members, yeah, maybe an employer or somebody at work, um, customers even. It's just a really great tool. And there's
Mm.
other tools in it. It's like 10,000 words long, full color. Thing cost me an arm and a leg to produce. And and I welcome any questions that you have. If you need clarifications once you download it, just hit me up on my website and I'll be happy to kind of bring it home for you. So,
Beautiful. The shamefreezone.com. That's where we can find. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Thank you for doing the work you've done in here and sharing it with the world. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you, really, Julie. I'll let you know how this exercise.
yes, please do, Emily. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.